Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, and in today's video I'm making two beautiful black and white rock resin beach trays. And that definitely was a bit of a tongue twister, and the first thing that I'm doing is mixing my part A and part B resin for about 3 minutes. Then I separate it into smaller cups to add the pigments. And I've also added my black and white rocks into smaller cups where I will be adding resin as well. I mixed the rocks with resin together and then started pouring it onto my tray. I used a wooden stick to move the rocks around and to push them up to the edge of the tray. Then I did the same process with the black rocks. Then I started to mix in my pigments, and the first pigment I'm using is from Just Resin in the shade Peacock Green. The second pigment I'm mixing is also from Just Resin in the shade Bermuda Bay. I'm using Resin Pro's Color Deluxe White to lighten the Peacock Green. And I'm also using Olive Green from Resin Pro to make the Peacock Green a deeper green. I continued adding and mixing in pigments until I was happy with the shade, and this is another fun part about working with resin. If you don't have the exact color you want, you can mix pigments that you already have to achieve that color. You can check the color and opacity by tilting your cup like this. Then I poured the rest of my clear resin into a smaller cup where I'll be adding another color later, and I poured some clear resin right above the rocks. Then I started to pour my pigmented resin onto my trays, and I realized that the green was a little bit too dark, so I lightened it up just a bit more. I tilted the trays to be able to spread the resin easy and fast, and I placed a paper towel where I put my hands so that I don't accidentally get some resin on the tray. I poured some clear resin into the cup where my green pigmented resin was, and into that cup I added some more of the Peacock Green from Just Resin along with Sage from Just Resin. And I poured that in the center of my trays in between the two colors I already poured. Then I start spreading the resin and blending. I'm using this makeup brush from D, which I've mentioned in several videos, and this brush makes it really easy to blend. I'm using a torch gun to pop any air bubbles, and when using a torch gun, be sure to have it constantly moving so that you don't burn your resin. Then I continued blending my 3 colors. After letting it dry for 24 hours so that the resin has hardened, I mix up some more resin to do the waves. I pour it into 2 cups because instead of adding a clear layer of resin, I'm going to be adding a transparent pigment of blue and green. The first transparent pigment I'm using is from Pebeo, and it's in the shade Turquoise. The second transparent pigment I'm using is also from Pebeo, and it's in the shade Emerald. Then I start pouring my second layer of resin onto my trays, first starting with the turquoise transparent pigmented resin and then adding the emerald transparent pigmented resin. I pour some clear resin in the area by the rocks and then go in with my torch gun to pop any air bubbles. Then I'm using my brush to push the resin up against the edges and to make sure that the whole area is covered. Then I quickly go around the edges with a wooden stick just to make sure that the resin has reached all of the edges and corners. I start to mix my white pigment, which I'm going to be using for my waves, and I'm using Titanium White by Just Resin. With a wooden stick, I apply the white pigmented resin right above the area with the rocks, and with the heat gun, I first go over it to heat it up, and then I tilt my heat gun horizontally to push out the waves. Immediately after, I go in with the torch gun, which helps for some lacing to appear. Then I start applying the white pigmented resin for my second wave and repeat the same process. I go in with the torch gun again to open up any lacing, and then I add some more white pigmented resin to touch up the wave line. Then I start applying the white pigmented resin onto my second tray, and I repeat the same exact process. I added a heat-resistant top coat and spray painted the trays white, and here's the final product. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below which tray do you like more, the white rocks or the black rocks, and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this in the future.